Axial CJ7. This is a kit designed by White Melon at FST Designs to create a, I'll show a picture, to create a nice boat side. So these parts will mount to the underside, give you a nice boat side, and it'll allow them to drop out. Uses this nice little latching system to be able to drop the slider down and allow for battery swap outs without taking the body off. So gives you a little more ground clearance too. It's very squared off clearances there, so these will definitely boat side it up a good bit. So that's where we're at. Printed these out last night real fast because the files were available yesterday. So I got the files. They were $15, and there's tons of files. There's a cage mod, there's a front bumper, he's got tons of stuff, spare tire carrier, all in that packet. So it's definitely a good value for you printer heads. And don't mind me with my prints, they were fast, so I just scuffed them up real quick. Bamboo will do a much better job, just need to slow it down and tune it in. These took me about 3 hours or so to print, and I got the bumpers going this morning yet. So, but anyway, we'll get into this, and hopefully all will work well. Alright, got all the ancillary stuff out of here. Just popped off the ESC, took the battery straps off, but that's where we're at. Don't forget, this one does have the VFD conversion on it, so we'll see if that plays nicely. The rest of this is just a matter of getting some stuff out of the way. So let's get some sliders off of here. Lord, that was way harder than it needed to be. All I need to do is move that out the way. So slider 1 is down. By the way, the servo mount is retained, I should say. So just so you know that for the dig. Sliders are out. Let's see if we can figure this out without too much crunchkin here. So a piece goes in. So I'm thinking, let's get this rear traction out the way. more sense. So we got that. And those. Pretty good hook on there. So let's get these put back on. We'll need a nut on the back side. Nope, I didn't read any of his instructions whatsoever. Just kind of doing it on a kind of figure it out basis. So I'll either be really, really smart or I'm really, really stupid. But I like figuring this stuff out on my own. One side in. This will probably need to be through bolted with a nut to firmo that up. Let's see, can we figure this out? Kind of makes sense. Makes sense. Alright, that all makes sense. Let's see what kind of bolt we need there. Alright, so what I'm on about, so the hole for the slider, which is the new pivot for this, goes in through here, through the frame, gets re-bolted. The latch mechanism gets bolted here and allows this to pivot, and that allows the slider to swing down. So let me get some hardware arranged and I'll give you some sizes. Alright, so I got the hardware figured out. So I'm using a M3 by 25 cap head on the front. So that one slides in there. It gives plenty of room to get a nut on the back side of that. I put a washer in between the printed pieces, and it seems to, you know, just because it's a wear area. And then we'll put an M3 lock nut on the inside of that. So let's get that put on. Find me a M3 lock nut holder apparatus. And this nut just goes on the inside of the steel chassis. And we're just going enough to allow this movement. So we are going to nip this little bud off here before too long. So on the bottom side for this piece, I'm using a 20 mil pan head for clearance. Change my tool over. Get it run on there, and again using a flat washer because it's going to be plastic and plastic turning on each other. and you want that just enough that it turns, but it's not super tight. And with that size, I do have enough on the top side, as you can see, that flips in and clips nice, and there is room for a nut on the top, but maybe a 25 will get you enough threads to engage the locking part. It's not really necessary. I don't know if I'll leave it on there or not, because it's at an angle and I don't want to stress that if I don't have to. I'll just give it a little nudge. But yeah, there's the theory in practice. So you can mount your battery to the wing, and let's see what it looks like on the body when the body's on, because you won't have to be taking this on and off a whole bunch anymore. And there it is. It's a much improved boatside design there, that's for sure. Without the rear inner fenders, it sure makes the body go on a lot easier though, but we'll get them back in there. But yeah, there's the difference. We got the boat side and the square side. So, all right, I'm gonna get moving on and get this thing buttoned up, and we'll be back. All right, give you a little progress update. So they're all mounted up, and their rear fenders I cut right along the factory seam, and they tuck down nicely to the inner fenders. On the, show you here real clearly, on the front inner fenders, there's a little triangle that fills this gap right here. It's very small, but if you nip that off, it clears the slider mount. So I nipped that off, and I took a little triangle off of the wings just so that they didn't sit on the sliders. And yeah, so the plan is I'm going to remount the speed control combo unit up here, and then I'll run all my cables and we'll get it all cleaned up. That way I can use right and left side for battery trays, which should be pretty cool. So I want to get to mounting up the electronics, get it tidied up, and then we'll see where we're at. Oh, I did take the wings off of these battery trays, the rear battery tray as well. So took that off just because I'm going to be using these holes for cable ties. Sanding them down a little bit, like I said, because I did a quick print. Whole cut pieces from the rear fenders. I got